I'm Mark Anthony, co-host of The Psychic and the Doc, and my amazing co-host, Dr. Pat Baccili, the street smart spiritualist and behavioral psychologist. She will be back next week. And my co-host tonight is the one, the only Rocky Trainer. And Rocky is one of the producers of the show. And everybody that follows me or has seen me at any public event has seen Rocky. She is also my business manager, and she travels with me on tour, and she has produced a number of the films and programs that I've been in. And we have a very special show tonight, but first, Rocky, say hi to everybody.
Hey everyone, I hope you all are having a wonderful day and evening. And I'm very excited about being here because this month has been a very special month, monumental actually, celebrating space travel. And in fact, Mark, the Apollo 11 anniversary, the 52nd anniversary, the moon landing happened on the 20th, which was yesterday. Isn't that fantastic? Yeah, and it was quite an amazing thing that happened.
2 days ago, but 2 days ago, but they lifted off from the moon a day ago, 52 years ago.
That's what I meant.
So you're right. All right. Yeah. And so we've done a couple shows this month about UFOs because there must be something about July in outer space because it's World UFO Month, and World UFO Day is July 7th, which is commemorating the alleged crash of an alien spacecraft in Roswell, New Mexico. And at the beginning of the month, we had Colonel Dr. John Alexander, former head of the UFO project for the U.S. military. Fascinating guy, and I'm looking forward to having him back. And then I believe last week we had Richard Lawrence, or was that 2 weeks ago, Richard Lawrence, and he's with the Aetherius Society, which studies UFOs. And then, of course, we have the anniversary of the Apollo landings. And so the theme of this night's show is, are you spaced out or do you want to go to space? And the reason that I'm bringing that up is because in July, we've had two more very, very historical events. We had the Virgin Galactic VSS, the Virgin Spaceship Unity by Richard Branson. He took a group of people into space, commercial, civilians. And then just a few days ago, Jeff Bezos, head of Amazon, took the Blue Origin, that's why I'm wearing blue tonight, the Blue Origin into space. And that also was historic, not just because it was another civilian launch, but it featured the oldest person ever to go into space, an 82-year-old woman who tried out for the Mercury program.
Isn't that amazing?
I know, back in the 1960s, she had to wait almost 60 years, but she made it. And then the youngest person ever to go into space, 18-year-old kid whose father apparently has $20+ million to spend on a ticket because he's the first paying customer to go into space. So this is launching, if you will, a whole new era in space travel. So we're welcoming callers. Call in and tell us, have you seen a UFO? Have you ever wanted to go to space? What do you feel about space travel? Do you think it's fantastic? Do you think it's a waste? Well, tell us, share us your space story. Have you ever met an astronaut? Now, Rocky, wait a second. Rocky's raising her hand. Have you ever met an astronaut?
Yes, and so have you. And your father worked on the Mercury program, all of the programs.
And the Apollo program.
And
yeah.
the Apollo
all right.
program.
Well, tell. All right. You
But
met an
I want to
astronaut.
tell you about my encounter with an astronaut. I've seen them before. However, I had the privilege of meeting Tom Jones, not the one from the movie or not the singer, but the astronaut, Dr. Tom Jones, Thomas Jones. And he was on the night, he said he was on the night shift of the science projects of the Endeavor. And
Wow.
yeah, and he and Tammy Jernigan and Story Musgrave, they were all on the Columbia when they signed. It was the 80th mission too. It was the 80th mission of the shuttle, and they signed organ donations to promote people to donate their organs because they felt that it was a very important project to bring worldwide. So that was a fun day to meet him. And when I finally got to meet him, I asked him, I said, Dr. Jones, what was it like to be in outer space? And he looked at me, and all of a sudden, this euphoric look came onto his face, and he said, it was amazing to me. It was like I am looking at this beautiful marble floating in space, and that's my home. And it gave me such a different perspective of how small we are, but how significant it is to be part of the universe.
You know, it's amazing. I've been honored and extremely privileged. I've met Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, who were the first two people to step foot on the moon. I also met John Glenn. I met Mike Foreman, who piloted the space shuttle. And I met Senator Bill Nelson, who is now the head of NASA. And he actually went up on one of the space shuttles. And all of them said the same thing. They said, and then this week, I was just floored when I heard an interview with both Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos. And I love the interaction between Jeff Bezos and his brother. And they said, when we were looking down and seeing the Earth, the curvature of the Earth and how thin the atmosphere is, they said that, you think that it's this gigantic thing and it's so thin and how beautiful. And I remember that's what Neil Armstrong said, is that how the Earth just pulsates with life. And John Glenn said, and we have to realize this is the only place we have to live. So it really is a real mind bender for people when they're in space. So that's amazing. I didn't know that that's what they said to you.
Yeah, well, can you imagine? I mean, wouldn't that be fantastic? I know when I was a young kid, I wanted to go into space so much, and I've seen so many launches from Kennedy Space Center, and to me, it was thrilling. I mean, totally thrilling. And you and I, Mark, shared the launch of the Hubble. Do you remember that?
Oh my gosh, I do. Yeah, Rocky and I, we had a special pass to go onto the property of Kennedy Space Center to see the launch of the Hubble Space Telescope. And it's really great to see that Hubble is still in operation. Hubble and the other telescopes that have been launched since then have radically changed and broadened our understanding of the universe, because for the first time we could get high resolution images of distant stars, planets, nebula, and we can go on, because when you are observing something from planet Earth, you have to look through the atmosphere. And this is what a space scientist explained to me. And they said that it would be like lying on the bottom of your swimming pool with a camera trying to photograph the sun. So you have this distortion of the water. Similarly, our atmosphere creates this distortion. But once you're in orbit, you don't have that distortion. And that's why we're getting these incredible images, and they're locating hundreds, if not thousands of planets orbiting innumerable stars.
I'll tell you something. The one thing that I would really enjoy is feeling weightlessness and floating and doing the things that the astronauts, that to me is like so amazing. And I remember Tom Hanks saying when he was filming Apollo 11, they actually did a simulated, I guess they were in a room.
They actually did film. It was Apollo 13. They actually did film it in weightlessness, because there's special aircraft that they can go and they do maneuvers on the edge of the atmosphere, and there's weightlessness for like maybe a minute or two. And so the weightless scenes for Apollo 13 were filmed there. And the one thing I've never understood, and people from Hollywood are listening, that year Apollo 13 lost for best special effects, and that was the only movie ever filmed in weightlessness. It lost to Babe the Talking Pig movie. Hollywood, if you're listening.
What?
Yeah. What? Okay. So Rocky, do we have any callers?
Yeah, we have quite a few lined up here. Right, the first caller is Sasha from Atlanta. And so, Sasha, are you there? Hello?
Hello, Sasha.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, you're live on air, Sasha. Say hello. Let's hear you.
Hello.
Okay, let's go.
Hi, I'm calling.
Sorry.
My question
Hey,
was
Malia,
from
is there any way to clean up the audio on that? Because I can't understand a thing that she's saying.
Try again.
Okay, can you
Okay.
hear me now?
Yeah. Now we can hear. Oh, and for all the callers, please make sure that you turn off your speakers, and don't be talking to us on a speakerphone. Make sure that you're using your handset only, because sound quality is key. So, Sasha, do you have a story about UFOs or astronauts? What do you need?
Okay, so I was actually not calling to ask about that. I was actually calling because I wanted to see if you could help me, because I've been feeling like my mom wants to tell me something.
Okay, so hold on. Let's see. All right, there's a female energy coming through, and normally before I do a private reading, and this is not a private reading, this is a public reading, I spend about 15 minutes explaining how I perceive information, because sometimes the person that you want to hear from the most may not be the first one in. But Sasha, there's a female energy coming through associated with you. And the thing is, prior to her passing, I feel that I can't breathe. I feel that my lungs are filling up with fluid. So this could have been some type of lung problem, lung disease. It could be congestive heart failure, because different medical conditions may have a similar sensation. And for me, like COPD and emphysema, pneumonias feel very similar, very much like congestive heart failure. I'm also getting a nauseated sensation, which is indicating that this woman was having difficulty holding down food and possibly not even eating prior to passing. So what this means, Sasha, is that her passing was not a quick event, took some time, definitely lung involvement. I do get that she was still pretty clear mentally prior to passing. Does any of this resonate with you?
Yes.
Okay.
When my
So it's
mom was
not,
passing away, she was suffocating.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We can't hear you.
When my mom she was passing away, she was throwing up and she couldn't breathe.
Oh,
Okay. All right. So thank you. Thank you for validating that, Sasha. She said your mother's communicating to me that you're super nervous about your finances. She said that you're a nervous wreck about this and that you're afraid that you're going to make some type of major financial blunder. And she's telling me to convey to you that don't worry about it because you're not spending too much. You're being very, very cautious about this. And she's also telling you to make a leap of faith when it comes to your career choice. So this indicates to me that she's telling you, don't worry so much because you're very responsible and capable. That also means like don't start spending money crazy, and also to take a leap of faith when it comes to your career choice. Is there something going on where you're possibly moving into a different job or possibly getting a promotion or shifting career fields? Because that's what this feels like.
Okay, so I've been like trying to I've been thinking a lot and I'm like trying to put my own business and I've been like thinking about it and like seeing where to start and I'm like, thinking a lot because I don't know where to start and that's probably it.
Well, there you go. So she's saying, take a leap of faith. Don't worry about the money. You're going to be successful. Do it. Well, thank you, Sasha.
could I just chime in
Sure.
here?
Thank
Sure.
you.
Sasha, I'm sorry for the loss of your mom, but the one thing you need to do if you're going to launch off into business, you have to put together your business plan. That means you need to know how much money you need to start up. You have to have at least 3 months of rent and bills taken care of. And you have to know where you're going to get your product line. If it's something that you buy, you have to be very careful on all of those facets. And once you have that together, it's like a pie. You put all those pieces together, then you can do it. And your mother's saying, go ahead, have a leap of faith of doing it. So all you have to do is put all of those elements together and go for it. And I wish you luck because I see that you're from Atlanta and one of my first businesses launched in Atlanta. So I wish you luck and many blessings to you.
All right. Thank you for calling in,
Thank
Sasha.
you
We
so
have to go to
much.
a break. Thanks.
Yes.
I'm Mark Anthony, and you're listening to The Psychic and the Doc here on the Transformation Network. My host, Dr. Pat Baccili, the Doc, will be back next week. And I'm here with our producer, Rocky Trainer. And this week's episode is, are you spaced out or do you want to go to space? So we're asking for people to call in. We are taking calls from listeners. The call-in number is 1-800-930-2819. That's 1-800-930-2819. If you're listening on Facebook Live, please don't put in the comment bar, do a reading on me. You gotta call in because guess what? We're not watching Facebook right now. We're doing the show. So that's 1-800-930-2819. Well, no, it's funny because we see in the comments after the show, people write, why don't you do a reading on me? I am a medium, not a mind reader. So you gotta call in. So Rocky, we're talking about space travel, and there's a lot of people that feel that, let's talk about NASA first, that the government wastes too much money on things that don't really benefit people here. And then there's a lot of people who said that, well, look at Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos, they're billionaires. So, their little spaceships are merely trinkets for the rich and famous. What do you think about all that?
Well, first of all, we all have our cell phones. If it wasn't for the space program, we would not have cell phones. We would not have our sneakers. Things were developed to help us do so many things that we take for granted. I mean, you think about it, folks. At one time, the computer at NASA was probably bigger than your entire living room. And now we can actually speak to other people either on a watch, on a little tiny phone. This was all part of the development of the
Well,
space
yeah,
program.
it's all spin-off technology, internet, computers, LED lights, light emission diodes. You know, people are taking LED lights for granted, but think about it. When you're in a spaceship, electricity is a precious commodity. And so an LED bulb uses 4% of the energy that an incandescent bulb uses. And fluorescent bulbs use something like 15%, but they weren't really practical because of their fragility. Plus, you know, if they break, they explode. But LED lights, I mean, there's so much technology, microwave ovens. I mean, it goes on and on. But do you think that the commercialization of space is a positive thing? And we're asking people to call in and share their stories of space and space encounters. 1-800-930-2819.
Yes, yes. I see that we have a caller, Mary Ross from Los Angeles. I'm wondering if she wants to talk about space or if she is looking for a reading. And of course, what you do is definitely way out there.
It's as outer space as it gets. Okay, let's Mary, are you there? Go ahead, Mary.
Oh, good. Hi, Mark. How are you? Yeah, you know, I never believed in UFOs and spacemen and, you know, great people until we're from New York City and we lived downtown and we live in LA. We lived in a building on the top floor, and late at night, every once in a while, my husband and I would see these bright lights on top of the building next door to us. And we would be looking at these, and we'd see people running around, and we'd turn, and the next minute they'd be gone. I know this sounds bizarre, sounds like we were drinking or doing drugs. We weren't. And now I think back and I say to myself, could that have been? Could we have seen something?
Very possibly, don't you think, Mark?
Well, what do you think, Mary?
I don't know.
What did you think?
I think, you know, it scared the shit out of me, quite frankly. I thought we were losing our minds.
Just as an FYI, this is a G-rated show, so let's try to keep it.
I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Mary, there are millions of people listening. Yes. All right, so back to you.
Great. Oh, wonderful. And now they're going to think I'm crazy talking about strange men in the building next door. I think it could.
Well, you live in LA. I'm sure there's a lot of strange men in the building next door.
This is when she was in New York.
No, I'm okay, New York. All right, no, but in all seriousness, Mary,
yes.
Did that experience change the way you think of aliens, extraterrestrial life, or at least the possibility
absolutely.
Of it?
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
Amazing.
And it scared me. And it terrified me because I think back, you know, I didn't realize what was happening then. It's only now in retrospect when I think of those months, and we would be in our library and my husband's office, and we'd be looking out the window, and they were bright lights, super, super duper bright. And then in a minute they'd be gone. And this happened over and over again. And my building. Go on. I'm sorry.
Even John Lennon, when he lived in New York City, I actually heard a recording of his call to the police department saying, "I think that we saw a UFO." And what was interesting is a lot of other people saw them as well. And so, Mary, you're not alone. First off, you're not crazy. Secondly, thank you for calling in and sharing this, because we now live in a time when the United States government has come out and said that UFOs are real. Now, they're doing the Texas two-step around this by going, they're real, but we don't know what they are. We can't say they're extraterrestrial, but we don't know what they are. And, every pilot I've seen interviewed, plus we've had 2 UFO experts on in the last month. And it appears that the propulsion system that these vessels are using is unlike anything known to our science, because there doesn't appear to be exhaust. So it doesn't, as far as we know, have a tailpipe. And from what we can tell,
Marketing
they're either
went.
using a reverse polarity of magnetic fields or gravitational fields in order to
I don't
effect
know
these
what that
really
means.
sharp maneuvers. Yeah. So,
Well,
you know, you're very privileged to have observed something like that. But why
oh,
did
I
it
don't
scare
think
you?
so.
Yeah.
I don't
Why
think
were you
so.
afraid?
Well, at first I thought we were crazy because we were seeing this for real. We were seeing it, and there were people. We couldn't make them out, but they were moving. At first, I thought it was a movie crew that were filming late at night. But then we looked out and we realized that there were no trucks on the street, so it couldn't be a movie crew. And then I got very sick. There were 7 people. It was a large building on Norton Street. And 7 people got very, very sick in the building, and I was one of them.
Wow.
And I went from doctor to doctor to doctor, and we all did. We all did. They were all women and 1 child, people who were home more than other people, more than men. And no doctor could tell me what was wrong with me.
Mary, excuse me for interrupting.
Sure.
When you were sick, were you tasting an unusual aftertaste in your mouth, almost like either like sort of a metallic taste or like some type of? It's like it felt like maybe there was sand in your mouth, but you couldn't quite put your finger on it.
Why are you asking me that? Yes, but there was
Okay,
something
hold
else
on.
that
There's a
was
reason
very
I'm asking.
strange.
Is your father on the other side?
Yes. Oh, he's terrible.
Okay.
Yes.
The reason I'm saying this
I
is
think
because hold on, let me go and I'll let you know when you can respond. There's a male energy coming through that feels like your father, and he is addressing this. And what he's explaining to me is that you and these other people were exposed to some type of energy beam. It wasn't a weapon. It was like being in the, like a light bulb that glows around a light bulb. That's the aura of the light bulb. People have auras. Anything with an energy field has an aura. And that you were exposed to some type of aura. And the side effect of that was this unusual bitter taste in your mouth with kind of, it was almost like sandy or gritty, but there wasn't actually any sand or grit in your mouth. And he's explaining to me that you were sick, but it didn't appear to have lingering effects. But were you real tired for a while after this?
Oh my God, I would sleep for days. My little girl would come home from school and crawl into bed to see if I was still breathing.
Oh, okay.
Rocky,
hold on, Mary. We're going to come back after break because we're at the we're at the half hour. We're going to have to go to break. But Mary, I want you to hold on because this is too interesting to let you go. And I'm Mark Anthony. You're listening to The Psychic and the Doc on Transformation Network, and we'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Psychic and the Doc, a special episode. Are you spaced out or do you want to go to space? And I'm here with my lovely and amazing co-host for tonight, Rocky Trainer, and my other amazing and lovely co-host, Dr. Pat Baccili, will be back next week. So Rocky, we got a very interesting caller that we've been talking to before the break. Mary from Los Angeles.
Yes, Mary from Los Angeles. And Mary had an encounter while she was living in New York City. And from what we're understanding from her is that she would see these people or these images of people on the rooftop of the building next to her. And she got, and it happened several times, and they would just disappear. And from what we have ascertained through our conversation with Mary is that soon after, not only she, but several other people sharing the same building got very ill and very tired.
So let's bring Mary back in. Jacob, if you would unmute Mary for us. Hey, Mary.
Hi, guys. Yeah, and this light, the light that we would see was so incredibly bright, and I often wondered why no one else was seeing it. How could it be that, why were we seeing it? Is that possible, Mark? That,
You know,
that other
when,
people in the building were seeing it?
you know, look, I talk to dead people, so anything's possible.
I know.
But I also believe that there is a logical explanation for everything, even if it involves the extraterrestrial factor. And if these beings can come from different galaxies or dimensions, why wouldn't they be able to adjust their frequency to just a small group of people were able to see them? Because I've interviewed and talked to people that have been, claimed to be abducted by aliens, and there's similarities. They all talk about that light, because the light can be very paralyzing, but it also appears to be some form of sensor that they're scanning you. But all right, so you indicated that initially you didn't feel well and you were really tired, but that passed eventually, didn't it?
Oh, yes, but it took over a year. And by that time, I had been to so many hospitals. I had doctors that were coming to see me. I couldn't leave the apartment. My legs blew up to the size of like two balloons. I could no longer walk.
Did anyone ever?
I couldn't go to the bathroom.
Mary, did anyone ever evaluate you for radiation exposure?
No, I don't believe so. No.
Yeah, that's what they should have been doing.
I want to tell you, Mark, that my husband, well, my soon-to-be ex-husband, his name is Mark as well. And Mark and I would be sitting in his office late at night when the kids were sleeping. So this was late. But I'm sure other people in the West Village were up late too. We couldn't be the only ones up. But we knew, this just came to my mind, that they were looking at us. At first I thought, Mark, I said to my Mark, this is insane. Is someone spying on us? That's what it felt like, because the light was coming right into the windows, and we were on the top floor in the penthouse, and I could swear they were looking at us. And I know it sounded like I was so paranoid.
Well, Mary, I want to thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm glad that your father's spirit came through to give you an idea of what is going on. And let me see if he's got anything else for you. He said by this December, things are going to be really looking up. And he's not talking about aliens. He said that right now you're going through this turmoil in your relationship, but by December, things are going to do a reverse course in your favor. So I'll leave that with you. Thank you for calling in.
Many blessings, Mary.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Wow, this is great.
Wow.
So anyone else with UFO stories? 1-800-930-2819.
Yeah. Well, I've got a little story. When I was a young teenager and I was with a friend, we were driving down the coastal highway, actually south, and we passed the tracking station, and we were going to meet up with a group of kids that we were all going to get on the beach and just get together. And right along the coast, there was it looked like a plane or a helicopter because it was a light, and it ran right parallel with us as we were heading south. And first we just kind of ignored it because that's what we thought it was. And then it's kind of hovered, but it wasn't close enough. It was like there was the road, there was like the berm of the beach and all the sea oats, and then the ocean, and it was right over the ocean. And so we both made this mention, and we stopped the car and looked, and all of a sudden it just hovered, and then it went out into space. And I mean, it went so quickly, it scared us, as the thunder goes on in my house.
Oh, wow. You could have timed that one better.
So, yeah.
So
and
Rocky,
we were so frightened. We actually went home. We were so frightened by it.
So Rocky, do we have any other callers?
Well, I'm looking to see Denise is off the line. I guess she was waiting and oh, there's someone from Houston, Luis.
Ooh,
Oh, great.
Houston, Space
Yeah,
Central.
Houston.
All right.
Hey, let's have Luis come on. Hello, Luis.
All right.
You're on the Psychic in the Dock.
Hey there, Luis.
Hello.
Hello, how are you doing, Luis? This is Mark Anthony. You're on the Psychic in the Dock. What can we do for you?
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, you're coming through fine.
Oh, okay. Okay, because sometimes I don't. I tell you what, after hearing what that woman said from New York, I don't want to see a flying saucer. I don't want to see whatever it is, a space person. Now I think I'm afraid. I wasn't afraid before, but now I think I'm more not afraid. I would just rather not bump into anybody that I don't know.
Okay. Well, I've talked to so many people about this, and some, a lot of the experts say that if they weren't friendly, we would have known it by now. Others say that they're just here to study us. Others say they have other types of agendas, so it's hard to say. Rocky, what do you think?
Well, as anyone knows, when you look up into the sky and look at the stars and look at the planets, there's so many out there. How can we have that ego to think that we are the only living being in the universe? And if there are other lives on other planets and they can get this close, and as Dr. Alexander said, Dr. John Alexander said, they don't travel in tin cans. They actually can do transport, like what we see.
What he's yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
But all right, so Luis, what else do you want to tell us?
I really, that's about it. If any of my spirits would like to tell me anything that's going to happen, I would love to hear it. But other than that, I have never been afraid of it. I always thought, wow, that I believe that there are others out there, because pyramids, underwater things that go on, and all the sightings that I've heard from pilots and everything. I definitely believe. But I think now, if I saw one, I think I would be a little more cautious. Well,
I think a healthy respect for them is a good idea, because what Rocky was saying is that John Alexander was on our World UFO Day show earlier, first week in July. Right. And what he said is that they appear to have a technology where they can fold space-time. And so they're jumping from one coordinate to the next, and they're here for whatever reason. And he also said that trying to understand extraterrestrials and UFOs is as complicated as cancer. So there's no one short answer or issue here. And whereas Richard Lawrence with the Aetherius Society, he said that from what they can tell, they're friendly. And if they were hostile, we would have known it. Well, I listen to what Richard says and I respect it, but I've also spoken to Nancy Tremaine and Calvin Parker, who are two of the most credible alien abductees on record. Calvin Parker has been through lie detectors, hypnosis, truth serum. He was abducted when he was 19 back in the 1970s, along with this other gentleman. And his explanation, Luis, he said, I felt like I was a lab rat. They took him on the ship. They did all sorts of probes and things with him. And for him, it was an extremely unpleasant experience. So this, let's all kumbaya and they're friendly. Are they? Or do they look at us? You ever watch, these Animal Planet, Discovery Channel, all that, where scientists go out and they'll shoot a bear with a tranquilizer, and they go up and they're taking samples from, every orifice on that thing and all that. Then eventually they let it go. From the descriptions I've received from people who say they have been abducted, it doesn't seem that much different.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's see if any of Luis, you still there?
Denise, yes.
Denise? Oh, I thought they said Luis.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I see.
Close enough.
So is it Denise or Luis?
Denise.
Denise. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. What I'm getting is a female energy associated with you, and there's actually a lot of spirits. You got 4 spirits with you, and she's stepping aside, and there's a male energy. He could be on your generational level, could be on the one above it. So it could be on the parent or uncle level, but he could be on your level. But I'm getting this bleed out. I'm tasting a lot of blood. I'm getting a lot of pains in my stomach and GI tract. So a bleed out doesn't always mean like a bleed out all over the place. It could have been internal hemorrhaging as well. And I get that. I really feel that you guys were on the same generational level. So this could be a brother, could be a cousin or a friend.
My brother.
Oh, your brother? Okay.
My brother.
Okay. So he's stepping forward, and let's see what he wants you to know. He said you're doing a lot better with your nerves than you used to. He said that for a long time, you felt that your nerves were really frayed and you were on edge all the time. And he said that you've done a wonderful job without medication of getting yourself kind of on a more even keel. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's always nice when you get a pat on the back from loved ones on the other side. Let's see what else he's got to say for you. Plants, and more plants. Are you planting some stuff, or you just get a bunch of house plants or something?
Yes. I'm planting butterfly and bee plants so that they have food.
Perfect. Yeah,
That's wonderful.
he's giving you the thumbs up on that big time, because I'm getting plants, and it feels very, very positive. You know, he's telling me, Denise, that you've rounded a corner and that you're going into a new phase in your life where everything's starting to fall into place. And he said that you really deserve it, because for too long you felt like you're getting kicked in the face by life. And he said that you've really come back around. So he's really, really happy about that. Hey, is there some issue with you and antibiotics? That could mean either you're taking them or you're allergic, but I'm getting this whole antibiotic taste and thing going on.
No, I take a lot of vitamins. I don't take antibiotics.
This is antibiotics. Do you have a history of problems with antibiotics?
None that I know of.
Okay, that bears watching, because there's something with you and antibiotics, or this could indicate that you have to keep an eye out for some type of bacterial infection. Now, don't get all, oh my God, this is the end of the world. This is what I call spirit intervention, where they're stepping in to help prevent something. Okay, so I'll leave that with you. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you for calling in.
Thank you. I want to thank my brother. Thank you, Cliff.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a good energy.
Be well.
Okay, Rocky, what do we got now?
I'm looking to see if we have anyone else. I don't see anyone else on the roster. Our phone number, folks, is 1-800-930-2819. 1-800-930-2819. You can speak with Mark if you would like a reading, a mini reading. We're available. Also, if you would like a reading with Mark privately, you can go to his website, which is, it is called the afterlifefrequency.com. afterlifefrequency.com. And then you can go to Mark's website, find out about his appearances, his Zoom lectures, as well as get his books either on audio or order them through the website. It'll direct you to the right area. And Mark has a very wonderful thing that's going to happen real soon. He has written his 3rd book, and it is called The Afterlife Frequency. and it will be released this October. And of course, if you haven't read any of Mark's books, his first book is Never Letting Go. And the second one is Evidence of Eternity. And now we have the Afterlife Frequency. Mark has done so many wonderful things, and I've been so proud to be part of this journey with him. I have traveled many sacred places, and we've done some interesting things. And when I have witnessed and watched Mark connect people on to the other side with loved ones. So if you'd like to do that privately, kindly go to his website, afterlifefrequency.com.
Thank you, Rocky. I really appreciate that.
Sure.
And I've got a number of public events coming up. So when you do go to my website, afterlifefrequency.com, please sign up for my newsletter. I'm going to be on several other shows. And of course, every week, Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, the Psychic and the Doc, every week we'll be here. We've got some interesting guests coming up. And then we're doing a lot of call-in shows, 1-800-930-2819. Also, if you want to pre-order the Afterlife Frequency, you can find out about that on my website, afterlifefrequency.com. But tonight we're talking about, we got a few more minutes to go. Are you spaced out, or do you want to go to space? So Rocky, let me ask you, I know you would like to go to space. So which one would you want to go on? Do you want to go on Richard Branson's space plane or Jeff Bezos's space capsule? Which one for you?
I've flown Virgin Airlines, and it was one of the best experiences ever. So I would think it would be Richard Branson's spaceship that I'd like to go on.
Okay, tell us the real reason why you want to go on Richard Branson's spaceship.
No. Really, his airlines is fantastic.
It really is.
It really is.
Yeah,
One
when
of
I
the
had
best
to,
days.
I had to go to London, and let me tell you, the service, the efficiency, it was wonderful. I would like to go on the capsule, and
Really?
the reason, yeah, well, you know what? It looked like it had a bigger area. So like, when you're doing somersaults and weightlessness, and
okay.
and they both had really great windows, and it's fascinating because the capsule is sort of a blend of the old and the new. I mean, certainly it's space technology.
Sure.
The old in that it's a capsule, but the new in that it was robotic. It was fully automated. The space plane to me seems more efficient. You go higher in the mothercraft, and it separates, and then you go up, just beyond the atmosphere. But I think either one of them is fascinating. A lot of people have criticized this as, oh, these are just rich people playing. But let's go back in time to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. All right, around 1910, 1911, when the Wright brothers made the first airplane that took off in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina.
Exactly.
And then after that, airplanes were looked at as the playthings of the rich and powerful. So the way I look at it is space travel has to start somewhere. Obviously, when it comes to the government, and I think it's important for NASA to continue scientific research and continue launching. I thought one of the most disastrous decisions was terminating our human space program and then letting the Russians bring Americans into space. That was just ridiculous.
I mean, we built the space station.
Yeah, we built the space. It should have been us, the whole time. But now that commercial ventures are there, okay, so people are complaining, oh, this is a waste of rich people's money. But that's what people were saying in the 19 teens and the 1920s. So imagine 40 years from now, kid going, Mom, I want to go to the moon. No. Oh, come on. It's just for the summer. I mean,
Hey, I recommend going to space camp. If you come to Florida, I know you want to go to all the theme parks, but one wonderful thing is the NASA space camp and going to Kennedy Space Center. It's not only educational, but it's a lot of fun, and it opens young people's minds and hearts to what is out in the beyond.
Yeah, it's really it's important that we learn about science, and we've seen this in the last year, how the people who reject science, really they're the problem now. And I always avoid politics, but I remember seeing Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he's an astrophysicist, not a medical doctor, and he said the logical course of action is follow the science, do what they say with social distancing, masking, vaccinations, and this thing will go away. I mean, there's a reason that smallpox, that rubella, that polio have been all but completely eradicated, and it was through vaccinations. I know Rocky and I, we know somebody, really lovely person, but she says, I won't put anything in my body that I can't pronounce. And it's like, well, you know, in her case, it's anything with more than 2 syllables. But the thing is, get the get the vaccination. Let's get rid of this damn thing. Let's do it. And we have to listen to the scientists. So that's as far as political that I'm going to be getting.
Be safe, everyone. Wash your hands. Be very careful on where you go, what you do, and let's get through this so we can get back out there and maybe go to outer space too.
You see, one of the reasons that Dr. Pat and I started the Psychic and the Doc is no topic is off the table, no subject is taboo.
I miss her.
And we have a lot of interesting guests and topics coming up. We will be doing a number of call-in episodes. And what makes this show different than any other show is that not only do you get a reading with me, but you get the incredible intuitive spiritual insights of Dr. Pat, who's had the most amazing life, and she
still lives
in a world-renowned psychologist. And so that's what makes this show different. And there's a lot of healing that can go on here. And, you know, we had 3 great callers tonight, people with very fascinating viewpoints, and we're able to make connections. And so, Rocky, we got a number of events coming up. When I say we, I mean my events that Rocky's part of. I'm going to be addressing the Theosophical Society, the International Association for Near-Death Studies. And then I'm going to be doing a number of other groups and organizations, and people can find out about those at my website, afterlifefrequency.com. Please join my newsletter. And so, Rocky, what are your parting thoughts on space in 1 minute or less?
Well, let's not be spaced out, and let's look to the stars and appreciate them. And let's take time to think about and have the perspective that there could be life out there, and use your days wisely and look to the stars to make your dreams come true.
Thank you. What a beautiful way to leave the show. I'm Mark Anthony. This is the Psychic and the Doc. We've been here with my beautiful co-host, Rocky Trainer. And next week, the amazing, the one and only Dr. Pat Baccili will be back on the Transformation Networks, the Psychic and the Doc. To all of you, live long and prosper.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Psychic and the Doc with Mark Anthony and me, Dr. Pat Baccili, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Hey, look, come back next week so we can explore with you more of life's many challenges and learn from fascinating guests. And you know what? Even Mark and me. We'll connect you and discover insights from people in this life and from the afterlife. Extraordinary problems? Yeah, they do. They require extraordinary solutions. But step into the world of possibilities with us on the Psychic and the Doc. That's every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. That's TransformationTalkRadio.com. And don't forget, we're also live face-to-face on Facebook.com, Transformation Talk Radio.